going on, fam? Good or bad? Right or wrong? Happy or sad?
Diet or regular?
Diet or regular? Paper or plastic? Educated or uneducated? For the war, against the war? These are all parts of language that we use to break things up into small parts, and they're helpful in some ways, but sometimes if you leave them that way, they're not helpful at all. So I'm here with my boy Aaron Yates, and this is a conversation that he and I have very, very often. So I wanted to kind of sit down and talk a little bit about that because I think it's helpful for us to reconsider how we use these dichotomies and all that stuff. So Aaron, tell me a little bit about your experience with dichotomy and like what kind of things do you feel like are important to say about it?
One of the probably most intense experience of sort of breaking things into dichotomies and putting them in opposition to each other was growing up in an interracial family, you know, with my father being African American, my mother being of German descent, and always having this question of like, well, where do I belong? Because society will sort of suggest that you have to choose like one identity, like one thing that's gonna define you. And you can choose different things depending on sort of like where you find yourself and what conversation, but like the question of sort of race is one that, even though it's taboo and we're not really supposed to talk about it, just keep it on the low, is probably one of the biggest ones that people think about in terms of their identity and like who they see themselves as. And so like at school, I wasn't ever, you know, I didn't ever enjoy white privilege. So I was pretty sure I wasn't white. And when I would talk to the black kids, they would be like, you got good hair, you know, it's so soft. Are you mixed? Why do you talk white? And so I was like, well, I don't know, maybe I don't belong here either, which put me in a very sort of like precarious situation where I felt just kind of confused and alone because here's both my parents. I'm supposed to like pick one or the other that's meant to like define all of me. Like, how does that make any sense? So that was a struggle pretty much all the way up until college. And I can't remember exactly what combination of events happened, but at some point, you know, I was like, you know what? My whole heritage is mine. No one can take that away from me. Like, I have African blood, I have European blood, and I'm a whole human being. And so in some ways, I don't even like describing myself as like half this, half that. I don't even know what that means really. But that's certainly been like one of those dichotomies that I've experienced like pretty intensely. And then along with it came all sorts of other stereotypes. If you're black, you're supposed to listen to certain kinds of music, you're supposed to like certain jokes, you're supposed to laugh at certain things, you're supposed to speak with a certain vernacular, you know what I'm saying? Including saying things like, you know what I'm saying? And then if you're white, you're supposed to like certain things, you're supposed to talk a certain way, speak rather, you're supposed to like use standard English, you're not supposed to make grammatical errors, you're supposed to take things from over here on the other side and like adopt them and interpret them your own way. There's just like a whole lot that comes with, you know, both sides, and it's like never the two shall meet. Like it's some kind of sacred barrier like between them. So, and I had taken some of those things on for a long time, but more of the things that were associated with what it meant to be black than what people consider to be white, aside from the fact that I had to do well in school because my folks weren't having it. So, I mean, I had to know how to write, I had to know how to speak well. But otherwise, like when it came to music, when it came to like friends, when it came to slang or like hobbies or whatever else, it had to be this other side. So I used to give my friends the blues if they like listened to certain kinds of music, like rock, country, like anything that wasn't like hip hop, R&B, or like old time like soul music, forget about it. Like you were getting the blues. I tell you what, like I used to give them so much grief. But I wouldn't allow myself to listen to any of it because I had already decided that I wasn't supposed to like it because, you know, I was never gonna be white. So I might as well try and be as black as possible. So it wasn't until like later towards the end of high school and maybe the beginning of college that I remember my brother opened up some things for me because this dude would ride with his friends and would listen to country music, right? And I'd clown him for that. I'd be like, dog, are you for real right now? No, don't call me with that. Like, call me singing on Kenny Chesney. Oh, what's wrong with you, boy? Like, you know where you from? But at some point, like, I also respected my brother's taste in music, and he had a very eclectic taste, and I would be like, all right, I'm gonna try it. Next thing you know, man, this clown has me listening to all kinds of stuff, man. Like, I got country on my iPod. I got salsa. I got some dancehall. I got Persian music from Iran, like Persian club music, like techno. Like in order to get in the club, you gotta have like your shirt unbuttoned, a certain amount of chest hair, and like gold chain on, kind of like discotheque music. I got like hip hop in 3 or 4 different languages. I got like soul. I got old music. I got what else? Just a whole lot of different things. Some rock on there. No death metal, no screamo. That's for you, you know what I'm saying? Keep that away from me. But basically, I stopped defining myself by only like allowing myself to like these artists because I thought that in order to be recognized as somebody who like was of African descent and who was connected to the black community, that I had to act in these ways, you know, and that like my heritage is my heritage and no one can take it from me, and so I can just own that and just be me and have no worries. And my life is much better as a result. Like I stopped worrying about that stuff and now I just like what I like and I don't have to prove it to anyone. And that's dope. When I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag.
What's the from?
So wave your flag.